Hello, everybody. It is Rex the Dog. So I live in Madrid, Spain, and I am recording this the morning after we had nationwide, and well, really across the old Iberian Peninsula, Spain, Andorra, Portugal, reaching some parts of France, we had these huge power cuts. So I kind of want to talk about what went down and give my kind of perspective of it. And I've also got my phone here, so I can kind of reflect on timings that things happened during the day. Okay, so let me look at this. Let me look at my time here. So at about 12:30, I was working in the north of Madrid, still very, very much central, but I was working in the north of Madrid. About 12:30, power went off, so all the lights of where I am went off, but they had kind of these emergency lights that came on. They came on. The internet was still functioning. My phone service was really starting to get really spotty, though to be honest, my phone service is never really that good. But the Wi-Fi of the building was still on, so I was messaging people. It's like, hey, what's going on? And they were like, check Twitter. Like, this is not just Madrid. Well, first it was like, hey, this is not just our building. This is all of Madrid. Hey, this actually seems to be all of Spain. Hey, it looks like this is happening in Portugal as well. And it's like, whoa. So this was like getting close to 1 p.m. during the day. From that point, my service on my phone was gone. And I've got like a dual SIM phone. I got little patches of service again at 4 p.m. I got little patches of service again quite frequently from about like 8 p.m. onwards. I was kind of low-key connected. Okay, so 1 p.m. everything goes off. Communication with people kind of falls apart. I hang about at work to take care of some few things because I have some responsibilities and stuff. So I hanged about up there till about 4 p.m. Then at 4 p.m., I'm like, okay, I'm going to go home. Usually, the metro system in Madrid is absolutely amazing. It's really, really affordable. And it's this, like, modular system that's been replicated in other places around the world that allows them to just, like, constantly be adding on new stations. And it spreads out everywhere. It's really frequent. It's a real asset to this city and the people here. It's the reason I've not had a car. Like, I've usually always had a car, a van, a motorbike, something. And for the past, 6 years here in Madrid, I've been without vehicle, and I occasionally rent something to go outside the city or whatever, or borrow a car or borrow a bike or something like that. But I've not needed that because I primarily live in the city, and the transportation links are absolutely sick. So the metro is down, obviously, because the electricity's gone out everywhere. We're not sure why. Not sure why electricity's gone out everywhere. But the metros are down. And I was just thinking, even though it would probably be... probably like an hour, 45-minute walk from where I was back to the center, which is where I live. I was like, I'm probably just gonna walk this because the metro's down. Usually I could take the metro, it'd take me 20 minutes, right? The metro's down, but okay, the buses are operational, but the roads are just kind of crazy because when I'm saying all the electricity's down in Madrid and Spain and Portugal and the peninsula, all the electricity is down everywhere. So the traffic lights on the roads, you got crossroads and stuff, you got red lights to stop those cars, green lights to go through, they're off. So, and there's nobody there managing it yet. Okay, we're 3 hours into this, and there's nobody there managing this yet. So, lots of danger, just people trying to go, people trying to cross the road, people trying to turn corners, and some people are treating it with a lot of respect and are driving really, really carefully and with really high awareness and are letting people pass and signaling to each other best they can. Some people are going crazy, swerving around and stuff like that. Some people are going crazy. So I was thinking okay, we do have these electric, they're electric assisted bikes. We have these bicycle system in Madrid where there's these racks everywhere with loads of bikes in. And so you scan a code, and the first hour is always free, which is sick. And then after that you pay, or you can a subscription for the month, so you've got unlimited access to these bicycles, which is really sick. There's a lot of these really cool services and like connectivity here in Madrid, but obviously when the electricity's down, it's like, well, whatever. So you scan in, you unlock the bike, but if the electricity's off, you can't scan and unlock the bike. However, sometimes they're not like locked in properly, and if you go like, you can kind of yank them out. So I yank one out, the alarm goes off on them, because obviously they're kind of alarm, so I'm like, okay, whatever. So I put that one in the back, the alarm goes off. I yank another one out, and there's some woman there trying to do the same, and she's talking about how she needs to get home to her kids and all this sort of stuff. So I was like, dude, you take this bike, right? If you want to take this bike, you can take this bike, whatever. And she's like, thank you. And it's like, all right, cool. So I start just walking home. I'm like, it's going to be an hour. And I was just like, I can just kind of check this out as well. So I'm walking home. The traffic light situation's obviously crazy. Some police and like traffic control people are starting to show up on some of the more major streets, because obviously I'm getting more and more central as I come back home, because I live like dead in the center of Madrid. And I'm back in more traffic control and stuff like that. I'm like, all right, cool. I'm walking through a lot of the barrios, a lot of the neighborhoods, and I'm checking out what's going on with the shops, which is really, really interesting, because obviously they've got no light in them. Some of them seem to still have, whether it's like satellite communication or something, I'm not sure, for the card payments. Some places seem to be taking card payments, but a lot of them no, and they're out there with just like calculators and, taking coins and stuff like that. A lot of people without money, right? Because you've got a lot of people who they go around cashless and have just got a card. Some people don't even have a card because they just got everything on the phone, right? And they've got their digital card ticket, whatever on the phone. I always carry a little bit of cash with me, yeah, whether it's, I have some money that I keep in the back of my phone. Sometimes even have some money in my freaking boot. I have some money in my shoe as well, because cash is king, and in situations like this, so I'm like, okay, if I need to buy something, I can. Now, I'm not thinking about any of this because my home is pretty well stocked. I've talked about my life being pretty organized and stuff here. Like, I know exactly what's in my pantry. I have whiteboards, like, on my freezer, on my fridge, of what's in there, and then when I rub something out, I go and get it, and everything's just, like, really well stocked here. So, food perspective, I've got no worry at all, because I know I've got like stuff in the fridge that I can use up to make sandwiches. I know that I've got a load of non-perishable stuff and all that. And that's not me being a prepper. That's not me being a prepper at all. That's just me like, I just like, my house is well stocked, right? So I'm not worried about any of that. We've still got access to water in Madrid. Some places the water's failed, but still water in Madrid. So I'm like, dude, there's no need to do this. I got piles of toilet paper already, right? You know what I mean? So like, I'm good. I'm not going crazy or anything like that. And also, my theory at this point is like, I think 3 a.m. I know, I just have this feeling in my head that I was like, 3 a.m. this is all gonna come back on whatever, right? Based on nothing, right? Based on just intuition. That was just my parlay. That was just my over-under of what I was thinking. Anyway. People going crazy. I can see a bunch of supermarkets. People in pitch black, like buying everything they can, just going absolutely crazy. People in the tobacconist, in the cigarette shops, I can see them there counting with pennies so they can buy some cigarettes, and then they're counting up with the calculator and all this sort of thing. And it's like, all right, well. Places that are like restaurants and stuff, I see like some of the pizzerias and stuff, their oven's still running, and they're just like cooking as many pizzas as they can, and you've got lines just going like all the way down the street. Crazy. People sprinting down the street, running, people panicking, people going insane. 3 hours into a blackout. Okay, to put that in perspective. I'm looking at some, as I'm going along, because I'm kind of walking through neighborhoods I don't necessarily know, and I don't know all of the bus lines off by heart, right? Every time I walk past a bus stop, I just have a little check of the bus lines that are running. So I'm like, oh, okay, so there's a number 7 bus, and that goes kind of where I live. There's number 8, and that would get me kind of over there, 63. Oh, right, okay. So I'm just keeping looking, I'm kind of registering the buses as I go. Because I see the buses, and most of the buses on the front of them have not accepting passengers because they're absolutely rammed up with like so many people. And so I'm like, okay, that's a no-go, right? And I'm not just going to stand at a bus stop. I'm just going to walk. My plan was I'm just going to walk, and I'm going to check every bus stop. And if there's a bus that's empty and going in kind of my direction, I'll hop on that one. And that does actually happen fairly quickly. That happens fairly quickly, and I hop on a bus that goes like pretty towards where I live. It wasn't rammed with people. I got a seat. There was loads of other seats around me and stuff like that. That one was fine for whatever reason. We drive past loads of other bus stops which are going to different places, and they have lines of, I'm not kidding, like 200 people and stuff like that. Really, really crazy. So I get on this bus, I hop off. I probably walk 20 minutes. My overall journey of walking probably would have been an hour 40. I cut 20 minutes. I did 20 minutes walking, and then I hopped on a bus. That bus probably knocked an hour off my journey. So then I just had like 20 minutes left to walk, which I chose to take through the park and stuff like that, the big central park in Madrid, which was because I was dropped off really near the park and I live on the other side of the park, so I just went through the big park. Going through the park was really cool actually, because there's loads of people just like sunbathing and stuff like that. I did, see some kids who had clearly like stopped over at someone else's house to like pick up board games of Risk and stuff like that. It's like, that's cool. And yeah, so I do that. I walk through the park and I get myself home. My building's complete pitch black. Really difficult to get through. Obviously the elevators are off, so I go up the stairwell, yada, yada, yada. I find there's like an old guy there, and people kind of just say like buenas to each other in Spain, like short for like, like buenas tardes, like good afternoon. So they just say like good, you know what I mean? And I'm like, buenas, and he's like, buenas tardes. And then he's like, no, he's like, why am I saying this? He's like, this is not a good day. And I'm like, dude, do you have like, I live up there, like I live up here in the building. I'm Rex, right? I'm like, do you have like, are you like, all right? And he's like, oh, like I'm a bit worried about like the light and all that sort of stuff and the electricity and blah, 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 blah. And I was like, have you got like stuff to eat? And he was like, okay, yeah. I was like, do you want to show me what you've got? And he's like, all right, okay. And he took me around, he took me to a house and showed me, he had like a couple of cans and stuff like that. And I was like, is this going to be your dinner? And he was like, no. And I was like, no. And so I went up to mine. I got like some bread, I got some like extra stuff and things like that. And I was like, here you go. Like, I was like, here's some extra stuff. So you can take that, you can take these things, you can make a sandwich, whatever. He's like, oh, thank you so much. And I was like, is there anything else you need? And he's like, I might need like these things later. If we get to like tomorrow and stuff like that. And I was like, all right, well, I'll come down tomorrow. Because I don't want you walking around in all this darkness. I'll come down tomorrow. I'll see how you're doing. If you need anything, like I can go out and I can take care of that. And he was like, oh yeah, thank you. And I was like, do you have like, I was like, it's gonna get dark. I was like, do you have light and stuff? No. I was like, I've got like torches and stuff. I can bring you a spare torch and all that sort of thing. He's like, thank you. So I gave stuff to all that guy. And he was really, really nice. And it was nice to kind of connect with someone else in, my building who I'd never seen before and all that sort of thing. And check in on him. So he was kind of all taken care of, and that was cool. And just at least to give him some sort of like reassurance or whatever, because it must be really stressful, especially being like really old and stuff. And it's like you can't even call anyone. There's no connection. There's nothing. You don't know what's going on because unless you've got like a battery powered radio, you got no information coming in, right? He's just hanging out here on his own. So we took care of him. We came up here. We got obviously like I've got these huge windows here in the balcony, so I got quite a lot of light coming into my house. So even if I don't have the lights on, with electricity, it's alright. We can kind of see what's going on. So I just started gathering everything together, and I've got light, and I'm just like, all right, cool. Like I'll eat this thing that is defrosting, cold and not reheat it. I'll just eat this. I'll get all my candles together because I got a bunch of candles. I get all my candles together. I was like, get all my I've got some like quite powerful lamps and stuff like that from camping. So I was like, okay, I'll get these together. I got batteries ready. I was like, I'll get a pile of books here and some manga and stuff that I can read later. I got some paper here so I can draw on. I got my freaking guitar. And then I was like, hey, I've got like my Switch is fully charged so we can play some like Animal Crossing on that a little bit later. I was like, this is all good, man. This is all freaking good. And so what I did is I just sat on this balcony from, dude, this must have been like 6 p.m. at this point. So I just sat on this balcony. Again, we're in the center of Madrid, so we can see loads up here because we're quite high up. I was just like, I'm just going to sit here and watch. And so I sat there and watched. And the other thing I did while I watched was I built this. Arisu Unicorn got me this for Christmas. It's like a pixel block dinosaur thing. So I sat there on my balcony and I built up this little guy. And so I had a lot of fun doing that. I sat on my balcony, built up him. I tried to send out messages, and I think a couple of us got through at maybe like 7 p.m. or something like that, or a little bit later, just kind of telling people where I was and what was going on. And I just sat there and I watched, and there's people on the other balconies and balconies across the way and stuff like that, and I was kind of like talking to some of those people and stuff, and just like, again, it's like, are you guys all right? And I'm like, yeah, it's all good. And so what I could see from my balcony up here is if I looked left and I looked right, like I looked across this entire street along here, I could see, like, you know, there's a few lanes of traffic. The traffic was absolutely insane. There's people doing crazy things on mopeds trying to, like, weave in and out of them. A lot of people running around on the street, carrying balls of water and stuff, acting panic. A lot of normal people as well, right? A lot of normal people as well, but obviously the crazy stuff sort of takes your attention a little bit more. And the bus lane here, maybe if I look out there at any one time, I can probably see 2 buses at any one time on average. I can look further up there, there's a bus coming. I look further down there, there's a bus going. Because obviously we're in the center of Madrid, so there's going to be like a lot of buses, a lot of public transport. The buses are very good here, right? And so like a lot of that kind of stuff going on. Traffic's moving really slowly, at a standstill, that sort of thing. It's still moving, not a standstill, it's still moving, but very, very slowly. I could count in that line from what was visible to me, 30 buses. And it was always 30 buses for hours. For hours, it was always 30 buses. All just like slowly trickling along. Crazy. Must have shut down certain roads or whatever, and it's all these people trying to get out of the city and, you know, X, Y, and Z. But absolutely crazy. So I watched that. I built this little guy. I got the guitar out, I sat there and I played the guitar, and I just kind of vibed out best I could. You know, I was just hoping everybody I knew was okay. I kind of knew they would be because it's a lot of sort of like young, self-sufficient people like me, but obviously, yeah, you still get concerned about people and all that sort of thing. And, you know, I had those interactions with that guy here in my building, and you start to think about those other people that, you know, sort of exist in the city and whatever, and hope that they're okay too. But yeah, kind of vibed out there. When it got to like... Yeah, about like 8, 9, I was sort of like consistently getting really spotty connection on my phone. So some messages coming through or whatever. And I start to hear that like, oh, okay, like north of Spain, up in like the Basque Country and these places, like, you know, a lot of people have got their power back. I started to hear people who live just outside of Madrid, like, yeah, we got power back. People who live in the south of Madrid, yeah, we got power back. And lights started to come up around me, so I can see further along left. I can see a couple of really big buildings light up and hear people cheering. I can see the other side of the road, the street lamps come on, and yada, 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 and slowly things pop up. And then eventually, like, at basically exactly midnight, I get the power back on here, and we're all connected, and it's all good. But, kind of crazy. I mean, like, you know, it's... When you think about it, it doesn't really take you long to come to a conclusion, but kind of crazy when we got like so much reliance on electrical infrastructure. When that goes down, it's like pretty damn chaotic. I mean, like, from my perspective, it's like, okay, what was a lot of problems people had? People had problems getting home because of the failure of the transport, specifically the metro, and like a lot of stuff on the roads and the stoplights. The stoplights is crazy. So failure on the transport, a lot of people. Now, for me personally, that wasn't a big problem because at worst I was going to walk an hour 40 minutes or whatever. But for people who commute to the city and stuff like that, people trapped on like, you know, light rails and long distance rails, a really big deal, really big deal. So I'm not saying these problems don't exist. I'm just like, okay, these were problems, but they didn't affect me this time, you know. But the reliance on the transport system, you know, that's really kind of worrying to sort of think about. The cash situation, the buying things. Okay, I would, if you don't already, dude, I'd really encourage that you have like a little bit of cash with you. You know what I mean, at all times. Because if you're overly relying on your card or your card on your phone, which is even more stressful, it's like that can be worrisome. Food, I think it's always good to. I'm not like the being a prepper thing's ridiculous, but I think just having like a little bit of, you know, like food always in your house and stuff like that that's so non-perishable and whatever is kind of always a good idea. I also do, because I do a lot of wild camping and stuff like that, I do have like camping gases and little stoves, you know, gas stoves with whatever on, so I can cook on and stuff like that. So worst came to worst, I could, you know, I wanted something hot or wanted to boil some water for a cup of tea, you know, I did have that available to me. Obviously I didn't need that, because what did we do? We did like 1 till 12, we did like 11 hours, right? So we didn't know what was going on, how long this was going to last. And sometimes Spanish bureaucracy and systems can be pretty slow, so if this turned into 3 days, I wouldn't have been super surprised. Yeah, so the food, the transport, the money, that's all electronic. And then the other thing I would say is, like, luckily I got quite a lot of candles here. I've also got some, like, goofy, like, up here I've got, like, fairy lights, which are, like, battery powered, so I just flick those on. That's a little bit of light. Wind-up torch, you know, head torch is always good. I've got, as I said, I've got a couple of just things that kind of, like, blast out quite a bit of light and you hook onto things, which I use for, like, camping and stuff like that. Yeah, source of light. I don't know, just kind of like reflect on my story. Kind of interesting to hear. I had totally no problems. Got home without much issue, helped out a few people. The visuals were kind of crazy on that walk back and hanging out up here. And walking past the supermarkets and the corner stores, which were just like, it went into just like COVID panic spending within 2 hours. I don't know, just kind of some things to reflect on. Because, you know, the way that, like, they're saying this could have been, like, some sort of, like, atmospheric thing, resulting in some sort of oscillations in the system. I don't frickin' know. But, I know, I think it's just stuff to reflect on. It's just like, oh, hey, if that happened and, like, we suddenly lost power for a day, 2 days, 3 days, how could I get through that process as safely and calmly as possible? That's what I would kind of think about. And so I'd have a little bit of reflection on, do you have little bits of food in the house? Do you have sources of light, whether you got some candles, some torches, whatever, a nice mix of all of those. I think it's a good idea to always carry a little bit of cash on you, whether you've got, like, I usually got 10 or 20 euro on me at any point, you know, just in case. And yeah, also just thinking about sometimes, like, how do I get home or how do I connect with my loved ones or whatever if systems kind of fail. So that's kind of my story of what's going on. It's honestly been a bit crazy in Madrid. Yesterday was the day that the garbage strike finally ended. So we got our garbage taken off the street finally, which had piled up high after days and days. So the garbage finally went, and then we lost all power. So hopefully those of us who are traveling to Ibercom, which is happening, the furry convention is happening here in Madrid in 2 days' time. It starts in 2 days' time. I hope everything is fully restored for those people visiting. If you had a plane yesterday, that would have been really, really stressful. But yeah, I hope there hasn't been, you know, I know there definitely was accidents because I saw them on the roads from the lack of stoplights and people crashing into each other. I hope there wasn't too many accidents. I hope there wasn't too many, you know, people feeling like desperately lonely or unprepared or stuff like that. And I hope lessons are learned by individuals. Like, I've made a little bit of reflection of, like, I think I want more candles and stuff like that in my house, and other sources of light. I hope that people individually reflect what they can do, and I hope more importantly systemically, things are kind of put in place to help prevent these sorts of things happening again in the future. Lots of love. I will be back to normal here on this channel. There'll be less regular streams when I'm at Ibercon across this weekend, but I will try to either do little IRL streams from the convention or post videos or keep you updated during that time. But yeah, a little bit of a weird week on the Rex channel for a multitude of reasons, and I didn't expect this to be one of them. Thank you for hanging out and sticking through this. As I said, we stream a lot here. We stream most days, usually 5 days a week, usually at about 3 p.m. Central European time, or I think that's like 9 a.m. PST. Yeah, we play video games, we hang out in fursuit, we do art sometimes, we open Pokemon TCG Pocket Packs, we do a bunch of stuff. We have Dinosaur. we do a bunch of stuff here. If you want other ways to like kind of link up with me in the description, I Twitter a lot. I've got a Telegram channel, Discord. It's really cool to talk to some of the people who hang out regularly in the streams. When I don't post a stream, I usually post a video that day, so there's usually something on this YouTube channel kind of every day. And if you want ways to support me in other ways, I've got links to all those sorts of things. I'm really grateful for the support, whether that's just the interaction, the community, and talking to me. It's a vibe. I love it. And the people who have just been supporting by watching the videos, and those of us who have been helping for our goal for the Switch 2, it's been really freaking cool because we're super close to that. And we can do a bunch of cool Switch 2e videos, like unboxings and impressions and playing games and stuff like that in the summer. I don't know. But yeah, I didn't post a video yesterday because of all these freaking cuts. Didn't do the stream, which we were planning to do yesterday because of all these cuts. So I hope that didn't concern any of our regular viewers and stuff like that. I was thinking about you guys, and I was trying to get out a message. It's like, dude, this is all screwed up. But we're back, and here's my kind of story. I'll probably talk about it more on stream and answer questions, but I thought I'd give a reflection here to either people who hang out in my audience or other people who might stumble upon this video. Peace out, lots of love. Peace out, lots of love. Bye, bye, bye.